So we need to think about it.
Yeah, and I think obviously it doesn't help if the government is willing to borrow at very high cost, being the biggest borrower in the market. So we have one more question away.
Just if you allow me, we have been disciplined. That is why we've not gone through the financial meltdown that the world and the West has faced.
So मौका नहीं मिला.
मौका नहीं मिला ना. हमने we had planned for it.
हमें मौका मिलता हम भी कराते.
मगर मौका हमने हमारे planners ने हमें allow नहीं किया ना sir, because they had the foresight. Like we have the lowest lending to for housing in almost the entire world. Our economy, what I hear is that the housing sector alone can contribute to more than 24 industrial sectors. But our housing sector is not getting any borrowing because of the higher interest rates. So these higher interest rates are perpetuating the profitability of the banks. All banks are making tons of money, and at the cost of the depositors. The depositors are getting no returns, and the bankers are getting richer and richer and richer. Tell me which the profitability of the banks going up, which of the banks has gone down?
Sir, just look at the details of the banking sector. Not all banks are making tons of money.
Except Barclays may be an exception. Barclays is an exception the world over.
Yeah, well, just look at that. And where are they making the money? And like I said, that's not a sustainable model.
Any more questions before we wrap up?
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Abdul Sattar. I'm working for a textile group. My question is that as a CFO and CEO, we can discuss what business we can do and how to do. But the question is that where to do. I mean, where the environment is doing for business and for the opportunities. What step as a CFOs and a CEO we can take?
I did not hear. Can you repeat your question, sir? Sorry.
My question is that, like the situation in Pakistan, where the investors want to invest and that they have the skills to do the business, and they have as a CFO, people have the means to do it, but the negative factors can't not allow them to do it. My question is that can we discuss something whether we have some options to solve those problems or not?
What problems don't allow you to do your business?
Like energy.
Infrastructure, basically.
Like infrastructure, okay. Like with the things which are not in the control of the businessman, not in the control of CFOs, CEOs.
No, I think the consensus in the panel was that clearly there are two issues that they identified. One was poor governance, and the second one was misplaced priorities or policies of the government. And I think both of these issues pertain or would be the answers to your questions if they were solved properly. We have time for just one short last question.
My name is Naeem Khan. I'm from the Atlas Group. Some part of my question has been preempted by your last statement where you talked about policy and you talked about governance. I feel very honestly that this policy and governance business, either people are devoid of ideas or there's no political will. So the onus is on us to be able to put very positive suggestions so that if there is a void of ideas, at least there is a bank of ideas that can be worked on by or some of these politicians. Secondly, I feel that there is a dearth of redistribution of wealth. If we've got 180 million people, and these 180 million people are there to spend on Pell's products or anybody else's products, they need to have that money. Unfortunately, money is centered around very small set of people. They fulfill their desires and their wants, and thereafter they hide the money away. We must have a system to be able to redistribute the money so that those people who can spend and should be able to spend should have that in their hands. Find out ways and means to do that. In this August forum, if we can find these ways and be able to present it to the government, that would be more constructive than just analyzing and reanalyzing. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a comment. I don't think there was a question.
We agree with you. All have said this.
Yeah.
But that's where you need your tax to GDP to be something from a single digit to somewhere in the high teens, and that's your redistribution of wealth.
Okay, I think we've run out of time, and thank you. I'm sure there are other questions, but the panelists will be here. Maybe you can catch up with them during the tea break. Thank you, Harun. Thank you, Shahzad. Thank you, Abdulaziz, for coming over. And I'll hand over the microphone. Thank you again for participating in this.
May I please request the panelists to please stay on stage? Shahzad, sir? Abdulaziz sir, if you could just stay on stage. May I please request Mr. Shaukat Amin Shah, who's the past president of ICAP, to come and extend a token of our gratitude. These are souvenirs which we'd like to extend to our panelists and our moderator. May I please first request Mr. Shahzad Dada, who's the CEO of Barclays Bank Pakistan, to accept a memento of our gratitude. And please, a very, very big round of applause for the ever-popular Shahzad Dada. Next, may I request Mr. Harun Khan, who's the Managing Director of Pell Group. Mr. Abdulaziz, who's the CEO of Ufone. And of course, last but not least, our moderator, and what a wonderful job he's done in trying to instigate the kind of discussion from the audience as well as the panel, Mr. Fareed Ahmed Khan, who's the CEO of ABL Asset Management. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you for an inspiring discussion. And Shahzad, as you promised, you will be here not for tea but for lunch, so that you can answer a lot more questions. We need to give our panel and the past president of ICAP a very, very big round of applause. Conferences are often made by not just the panelists and speakers, but also by the quality of questions and intellectual debate, which is inspired by the audience. And I think that's what we've seen in this session. In fact, by the words started off by Hussain Dawood Saab till now, it's been extremely hyper inflated is what the word is. Our next speaker needs no introduction. The kind of contribution and inspiration he's been able to derive within this sector. He's a guest of honor today. He's the Dean and Director of the Institute of Business Administration, and his association with the world of finance, not just the field of finance, is profound. Dr. Ishrat Hussain will be talking about Pakistan's macroeconomic picture and the prospects ahead. Please put your hands together for Dr. Ishrat Hussain.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, let me thank ICAP for inviting me again to this very distinguished forum. Last year, I attended the CFO forum at Karachi, and it's my very pleasant duty to share my thoughts with you here at Lahore. After listening to the panel discussion, I have changed my presentation, and I would like to address some of the issues which were raised here and also the questions which came up, because I think this might be much more interesting for you than what I had in mind, which was to compare Pakistan with the other Asian countries who were way behind us, and then every one of them is overtaking us in the race for progress and prosperity. And I wanted this audience to think about it as to what is really wrong with it. Let me start by saying that there are several determinants of the business outcomes. So it is not just one particular factor. And this is something which you as the financial decision makers have to keep in mind. Rather than blame somebody else, you have to look at the totality of the picture in a completely holistic manner. If you don't have that framework of thinking, you might be making mistakes, or what is very usual in Pakistan, indulge in the blame game, which to me is a zero-sum game. The first factor is the structure of the economy.